In 1937, during the Great Depression, Congress adopted a law that sought to restrict the production of raisins by ensuring the farmers don't produce more than a certain amount, and if they do, the government would take those raisins away from them and prevent them from selling them on the U.S. market. The idea was to increase farmers' income, but obviously in the process, consumers are harmed because they have to pay higher prices for their raisins and also for a number of other agricultural goods that have similar programs that were established around the same time. Farmer Horne wanted to not have to participate in this program, which seeks to fix prices, and instead to be able to sell his raisins himself. And he challenged this. He said that this is a taking of private property without compensation, which is forbidden by the Fifth Amendment, which specifically states that private property cannot be taken for public use unless just compensation is paid. The big issue here is that the lower court ruled that the takings clause doesn't apply in the same way to personal property as to real property. Real property is land, and personal property is most other kinds of property, such as raisins. So what they're in effect saying is that if they're taking your raisin as opposed to your land, that means that they don't really have to pay compensation in the same way as they would if it was a piece of land that was being taken over by the government. The narrow issue is that they say even if this is a taking, otherwise it might not be one because the farmers benefit from the program that takes their raisins. It's pretty obvious that personal property is protected by the Fifth Amendment just as much as real property. It may be that if the farmers get a benefit from the program, that should affect the amount of compensation they're entitled to, but that certainly doesn't change the fact that there was a taking. This case has broad implications for a couple of reasons. One is that if the government does prevail on its most expansive and extreme argument, the claim that this is different because it's personal property, well, there are lots of other situations where the government could potentially seize personal property, including other agricultural products, but many others as well. There's lots of valuable personal property in the country. The second issue raised by the government also is important in that if it turns out that whenever the government seizes personal property for something that might benefit the owners in some way, that it's not a taking at all, then there could be many situations where the government can take your land, or for that matter, your personal property. They could take it, and then they could give you some small benefit in exchange that's not nearly as valuable as the property that was seized, and they wouldn't have to pay you compensation. Don't you know that I heard it through?